So this is a second video about making a simple little side-scrolling game in Java. To recap, the last video covered a bare-bones Java applet which lets a little ball roll around in its 2D world and jumps on blocks that are floating in midair. And the physics of the game included gravity, friction, collision detection. Now, in this game, the little world that the ball lived in was typed in by hand, just as these rectangles that we put into the game, which worked for a small game like that. A real game would be a lot more complicated, and it would have a much more complicated tile set consisting of not just one tile or no tile, but a number of different tiles per game and backgrounds and everything. And unless you really love typing in 200,000 character arrays for each level, you want a tool to do the job for you. So this video covers writing a very basic level editor for this side-scroller project, and also have to modify the program to read in the levels that the level editor spits out. Now, there actually are a lot of free, really good map and tile editors out there that'll do the job for you. If you want to just draw the tiles, Paint actually works fine, but there's also Sprite and Graphic Scale. And there's level editors which allow you to take these tiles that you've drawn and actually just arrange them into some convenient format, and it'll spit out a text file corresponding to your level. One that I looked at, which was pretty awesome, was Tiled, and I might just fool around with it in later stages of the project because I'm sure they did a better job than I will. But given the kind of DIY feel for this side-scroller project, I wanted to just see how to make a level editor and see how easy it was. It turns out it wasn't too bad. So what we want to start with is an n by m grid, and each location we can click on it where if we want to block there, and there should be at least a few tiles to choose from just to give the game a bit more of an interesting feel. We also need to be able to save that file to a level which could then be easily loaded into the game, and that's basically all we need. You know, as icing on the cake, we could be able to open files, previous files we worked on, and have a bit more I/O capability. And as more icing, or icing and sprinkles on the cake, we should be able to do like basic editing, copying, pasting, dragging, dropping, undo, redo. But that's getting carried away. I did, however, get carried away and added these things, but I also wrote a even more basic one, which is here. So here's the editor in action. If I run it, it's just a main grid where you can do all the drawing, put different tiles down, and there's a menu bar which lets you save the files and open new files, etc. So the GUI is based on just Java Swing, which lets you handle things like menus and scroll bars without too much effort. You just click away in this main region here and draw out your level, save it, and the idea is that it saves it to a text file. So one complication is that you're typically drawing really large levels, and you don't want to fit the whole thing on the screen at once. You also don't want to have each brick the size of a pixel, because that one might be a bit hard to draw. So what you can do is just blow everything up so that each pixel or each grid point is, say, 30 by 30 pixels on your screen. You then need to convert your mouse coordinates to grid coordinates, or else this happens. To do that is just a really simple conversion. So how do we go about changing screen coordinate in pixels to grid units? I guess the way to do that is actually not too bad. So suppose you click somewhere, like 3265 for argument's sake, on the screen. We want to convert that to the grid point 1, 2, as we see here. And in order to do that, we just divide the x-coordinate by the width of a block, the y-coordinate by the height, and round down. So that gives us 32 over 30, 65 over 30, which rounded down is the correct value, 1, 2, which is great. So that works perfectly well. Now we might actually want to zoom around, and because our map is going to be huge, adjust, say, the starting x and y grid point. And to do that, we just do the exact same conversion before, but just add the starting point, which we can move around. Oops, that should be a y, which we can move around as the program is running. So this gives us all we need, and we're done. So there's a slightly more involved version that I ended up making just because I got carried away, where you can actually make levels a bit more efficiently, drag them, drop them, etc. And do a bunch of tiles at the same time. You can also just do things like undoing, redoing. If you like, a region so much you just want to copy it, you can do that. Just place it here. You can also move different regions if you don't want that there, say. You can drag it around. So this is just like standard GUI stuff that you can do for, I don't know, if you want to get carried away. So this way we can just draw out a level. Let me say that, make the player start here. And I don't know, just make a very basic, crappy looking level. And I'll put some deadly looking spikes and give him an impossible goal to reach. I've put in some enemies tiles and a boss tile for future use. So we'll just set that over there as maybe an impossible goal that he can never reach. Boss Island. That way we don't have to worry about it in this demo. So yeah, there we have our really basic level here that we could of course have made much better. We got to save it, so let's do that. And the new version has these edit, copy, paste. We can open recent files, of course, or just save them. So we'll just save it as level X. Actually, you know what? I'm going to save it as something else. Great. So now I've saved it. Of course, we can load up our recent files. We can either do it with the open dialog or the recent file dialog, and then continue editing. There you go. Here I can showcase the mini map editor, which allows you to kind of zoom around. Again, complete overkill. I don't know. Add something fun for the boss to sit on. Quit. It's going to ask to save. Yes, we will. And now we can move on to actually running the game. So the last thing we need to do is actually be able to save it into a file that our program can read. So if we just look at the text file corresponding to what we just wrote, there's a bunch of these coordinates, x, y, and the type of block that we put down, and some meta information at the beginning, the width, the length, the width, sorry, and the height of the entire level, the number of blocks we placed, and the player's initial start position, and things like that. So that's great. We now have that in our program now. Go back to Eclipse here. In our program, we do not want to do that. Actually be able to read it in. So you just write a quick little function which just parses the input file and places bricks wherever it reads them. So that's in this load level function. And we can run it. And there. We have our new level that we've just made, which looks awful. But, of course, the sky's the limit. And, of course, nothing happens if I jump on these dangerous looking spikes, because that hasn't been programmed in. That will be next video. And now we have a level editor that we can play around with, and our little black ball can now have a more beautiful, meaningless existence here. Alright, and now he falls to his death again. So the next video will just go over putting enemies, non-player characters in, as well as making things a bit prettier, making the player an actual sprite, and improving the look and feel of the GUI just a bit. Alright, thanks for watching.